Welcome back to Hang and Vibe, episode 13. We're getting towards the end of summer, and there's only 1 week until our summer road trip to Florida. So I'm getting really excited about that. This episode, I'm going to have Ben later on as a guest, and we'll talk about some great bands. But meanwhile, I will talk about my week. On Sunday, we had a guest pastor named Joel Smith, and it was so funny because when he introduced himself, he said that he pastors a church in just outside of Atlanta, Georgia, and he said if you're ever, driving through Atlanta on your way to Florida, you should stop by. And I turned over to my parents because literally a week from now, I will be in Atlanta on my way to Florida. And it was just kind of funny. I looked up the church and it's like 24 minutes away from our hotel. And my sister doesn't go to church, so she wouldn't go with me. She'd have to stay at the hotel and watch the dogs for however long the service lasts. And then I'd have to drive all the way back to the hotel to pick them up. And by that time, we'd still have like an 8-hour drive to get to our hotel in Florida, so it just doesn't work out timing wise. But I looked it up. I wanted to see if it'd be possible, but I just don't think it will be. Yeah, he preached on Luke chapter 10 verses 38 through 42, which is the story of Martha and Mary, and he pointed out a couple things that were really interesting. First of all, to Martha's credit, it was good of her to practice hospitality by welcoming Jesus and his disciples into her home. Typically, we see this passage as like criticizing Martha as like not a good example, but that particular thing is a good example. And it's something that I thought a lot about this week because, my sister lives with me, and I should see that as an opportunity to practice hospitality towards her by, keeping the house clean and stuff, which I typically don't. I kind of sort of see the house as, it's my house, and I don't really care if it's clean, so I don't put the effort into cleaning it. But if I want to, be a follower of Christ, then I should practice hospitality and take care of the house for the sake of my sister. So that's kind of a lesson that I learned from this sermon. But obviously that's not the main point of the passage, because it goes on to talk about Mary, Martha's sister, who was an even better example by sitting at the feet of Jesus and listening to his teaching. One interesting point that Pastor Joel mentioned is that it says in the original translation that she sat among the disciples. I don't know how it puts it exactly, but when it says she sat at the Lord's feet, the implication is that she sat among. I think it's she also sat at the Lord's feet. I think that's how it puts it, but the implication is that she sat among the disciples, which is, in other words, she included herself among the disciples, which I think is something that I need to get better at, because I tend to see myself as a bit of an outsider, and I know that I need to see myself as a part of the church and everything, and that's just something that I struggle with. But this passage is a good reminder that it's commendable to position yourself among the disciples. So, and I do go to church and everything, but I go and I kind of feel a bit like like I'm on the outside. And yeah, it's just something that I need to work on getting better at. So yeah, then the passage continues with Martha confronting Jesus about how Mary is not helping her in the kitchen and stuff, and she expects that Jesus will kind of take her side and be like, yeah, Mary, go help your sister in the kitchen. And obviously Jesus does not take her side and actually says that Mary is doing the better thing, and he uses the word portion. He says that Mary has chosen the good portion, which is a good kind of play on words, I guess, because, you know, Martha is all concerned with the food and with serving the, you know, physical food, but Jesus is saying that his own teaching is the more nourishing and more necessary spiritual food that we all need. And an interesting point that the pastor made was that communion with Christ is like fuel, and it fuels our good works and everything. But if we are so focused on our works that we forget to refuel, then our works aren't going to be, they're not gonna be profitable, basically. He made an illustration of like he was at a gas station and he saw somebody roll up to the gas station with 8 gas cans that he filled up, every single one of them, and he's like, yeah, we can't do that with our spiritual fuel. Like, we can't just come to church, you know, once a month or twice a year or whatever, or just go to camp or go to a conference and expect that to fill us up, to fuel us for, you know, the rest of the time. We need to refuel as often as possible, and that's definitely true for me. I run out of fuel pretty quickly, so I definitely need to spend as much time as possible in prayer and reading scripture, and in communion with Christ. So it's a good reminder, and definitely something that I need to put into practice. In the evening, we had Cliff returning for his last sermon of the summer. He is returning to California, him and his family. So he preached one last sermon in Judges. He preached on Judges 14 through 15, all about Samson. One of the takeaways, I guess, is that Samson was supposed to be, you know, Israel's judge, and he was supposed to be devoted to the Lord and everything, but he, as Cliff put it, he kind of had an identity crisis and ended up identifying more with the Philistines than he did with the Israelites. For example, by marrying one of the Philistine one of the Philistine women. But yeah, and it's like he was willing to throw away his whole identity for this foreign woman. And I think that I can apply that to my life, in that I need God's protection against the temptation to throw away my identity in order to fit in better with the world. But another interesting thing about the story of Samson is that even though Samson was kind of a bad example, God still used him, almost against his will. Like, God still used him to accomplish God's will. You know, whenever Samson kind of went into a rage and started, just killing people, like that was God using him to, eliminate the Philistines. Because every time it happens, it says the Spirit of the Lord rushed upon him, and that happens like several times in this passage. Cliff pointed out that Samson was probably the most Spirit-filled judge of them all, and that's just what's so interesting, is because Samson really he's not presented as a good example to follow, but God used him so much. And I think that's kind of the point of Judges, and that's a point that's come up in previous sermons as well, like that God uses these people that are kind of miserable examples, not people that we want to follow, but God uses them because he is the one in control. But yeah, so that was just an interesting point. And then I think the most interesting point about the story of Samson is all the parallels with Christ. Some of the parallels, some of the similarities. Both had a miraculous birth. Samson was born of a barren woman who couldn't have children, but she ended up having Samson. Jesus obviously was born of a virgin. Both were anointed by the Spirit. Samson was anointed periodically, temporarily, but of course Jesus was anointed permanently. Both were, defenders of Israel and everything. Both were, later in the passage, we see Israel tries to deliver up Samson to the enemies because he went around killing them, and so they wanted him taken down, basically. So Israel basically bound him up and brought him to the Philistines, and it's like that's exactly the way Israel treated Jesus. They delivered him up to their own enemies, even though he was the one saving them. So there's just some really interesting parallels between Samson and Jesus. But there were some differences which are important too. For example, Samson did not identify with the Israelites, but Jesus very much identified with them, even though the Israelites betrayed him. But yeah, Jesus did not fraternize with the enemy. He was faithful to Israel, his true bride, and he really cared. He really cares about his people, even though Samson didn't really care about Israel. He did defeat their enemies, but he did it for the sake of his own ego. He did it out of anger and out of rage. He didn't do it out of care and compassion for Israel. It's almost like he saved God's people by accident. But yeah, Jesus obviously did it fully intentionally. So the rest of the week, I finally got back into working out with Joe at work. We took quite a long break and finally decided to get back into it. So on Monday we worked out after work. Tuesday we did a short workout as well. Wednesday we were not able to work out because something happened with one of his patients, and he had to write up, an incident report and everything, and that took a long time, and he had to do a bunch of follow-up and stuff. So yeah, we didn't work out Wednesday, but we did another short workout on Thursday, and next week we'll probably continue to to work out. But obviously the week after that, we won't be able to because I'll be on vacation. Yeah, this week was definitely it felt like a long week, and I anticipate next week being a very long week as well because, vacation's coming up, and I'm really excited, but I'm ready to go already, it's hard not to, mentally check out and just be like, yeah, I'm ready to be done with work. I don't want to go back to work. I just want to leave for this trip. That's kind of the mode I'm in right now. But just one more week of work, and then we get to go on our trip. There's still a little bit of preparation to do. For example, they haven't released the menus for the food. Every year, Halloween Horror Nights has special food booths that you can get, special food items and drinks at, and they're always themed. So they have, themed food booths that are based on, Ghostbusters, and based on, the Carrie Drive-In, which is related to the Slaughter Cinema House. So yeah, they have all these themed food booths, and they always have really interesting food items, but they haven't released the menus yet, so I don't know what food they're going to have, but I want to know so that I can plan out what I'm going to get and calculate the prices and everything. So hopefully they'll release the menus this week. I'm sure they will. They have to, because everybody else wants to know before they plan their trip as well. So, yeah. Speaking of planning for the trip, this week Haley and I watched The Bride of Frankenstein because, the last house that was announced was Universal Monsters Bloodlines, which is, as I said before, kind of spotlights all of the female characters from the Universal Monsters, and The Bride of Frankenstein is one of them. Interestingly, if you haven't seen the movie The Bride of Frankenstein, the Bride of Frankenstein isn't really in the movie until the last 2 minutes, and then she doesn't even really do anything. She just is afraid of Frankenstein's monster, and then Frankenstein's monster collapses the building on them. So that's kind of upsetting because, the movie is called The Bride of Frankenstein, so why isn't the bride in the movie? But it was still a good movie. It was really entertaining. I mean, you get to see the, Frankenstein's monster learn how to talk, which in the book he already knew how to talk, but in the first movie they made it for some reason so that he couldn't talk. But when they made the second movie, they wanted to reintroduce his ability to talk, so they had him befriend this hermit in the woods who teaches him how to talk. I really like the hermit in the woods plotline because he's just this dude that's all alone, and he's blind and has no friends, but then Frankenstein's monster shows up, and the hermit is praising God for sending him a friend, and he's I've prayed for so long for God to send me a friend, and now you're here. And he teaches him how to drink and smoke and stuff, and it's kind of funny, but it's they're just two buddies, just having a good time together. And it's just interesting how you get to see Frankenstein's monster, who all up until this point he's seen as a monster, and everybody wants him gone and everybody wants him dead and everything, but then finally he meets this one guy who just will actually just love him as a friend, and it's it's really sweet to see. But then of course he gets the mob finds him and takes him away and takes his friend away from him, and then that sets up the plot line of him wanting Frankenstein to create a friend for him, so that's why he creates the Bride of Frankenstein. But he does it with the help of this other doctor, Dr. Pretorius, I think is his name. And he's just a really interesting character. He's so, like, eccentric and just kind of a goofball. He's definitely the epitome of a mad scientist. So he's just really an interesting character. So it's a good movie. It's, a classic for a reason. So if you ever get a chance to watch The Bride of Frankenstein, I would recommend checking it out. Other than that, not a whole lot happened this week. We did go out to dinner on Friday. We went to a restaurant called McGonagall's in town. It's like a Irish pub that has really, I don't want to say cheap food because it was good, but it was very affordable. Like $7.99 for 2 hot dogs and fries, and the hot dogs were really good. And yeah, just really filling and satisfying. My dad wanted us to go because, it's a cheaper restaurant than the ones we usually go to. And we are trying to save money since we have a trip coming up, so yeah, I enjoyed that. My sister and I cleaned the house on Saturday, so perfect timing for me to hear that sermon about practicing hospitality and everything, because I do want to get better at cleaning the house and stuff, and taking better care of the house and everything. So this was kind of a good opportunity for me to practice that. Even though I didn't do much in the way of helping, I did all the dishes, which a lot of dishes did pile up, so it did take a long time to do all the dishes. And I also cleaned the bathroom, but my sister pretty much did the rest. She vacuumed, and well, I guess there wasn't that much else. She dusted and vacuumed. But yeah, I can't think of anything else that happened this week. It's been a pretty boring week. Maybe just boring because I'm so eager to go on this vacation, and it just feels like it's taking forever. But it's coming up 6 days from now. We leave on Saturday. So next episode is going to be recorded early. Normally I record these on Sunday morning, but next week's episode I'm planning on recording Friday morning. So this is going to be, next episode's going to be kind of a short week. But then the following episode is going to be a pretty special episode because I plan on talking all about the trip and all about Halloween Horror Nights and everything. So definitely stay tuned for that. But for now, enjoy this episode as I talk with Ben about some pretty awesome bands. And so I turn it over to them. Welcome back to Hang and Vibe. This week I have Ben as my guest.
Hello.
Hello, Ben, returning from a previous episode. And we have 4 artists this week. Seems to be working pretty well, just having 4. Seems like a good length of time to talk about, and to talk in depth about the artists too. So, I think we'll just jump right into it with my first artist that I want to spotlight is Caspian, who is, I guess it started out as a band. Well, it started out as a solo project of a guy named Joel Johnston,
okay,
who was born in Ireland, currently based in Leeds. But it was, I don't know the whole history. There's not like a Wikipedia page for this band or anything, so it's kind of hard to dig up information without that. But he
released a couple albums with a group of guys, among whom there was Alessio Scazzero and Joff Cabedo. I always pick artists whose names I can't pronounce. I really should try to like do some homework before and try to figure out how to pronounce them. But
Benedict Nebuchadnezzar.
Yeah, just rolls off the tongue. But yeah, so they were part of the band up until like 2020, and then it seems like from then on it was just Joel Johnston solo artist. But the name Far Caspian is actually based on Prince Caspian,
that's
C.S. Lewis.
Of course, the imagery that came right to my mind when you shared this artist with me.
Yeah. I actually discovered them, I think, through Spotify. I think they were like a recommended artist in the Discover Weekly playlist type of thing.
They're cool. They've got a great, clean sound.
Yeah. Yeah, somewhat of a like indie kind of bit shoegazy.
Yep.
Yeah. The first song that I heard by them was Between Days, from the EP Between Days in 2018.
It's hard to know which way to go. Come and find me. She's dressed for
Yeah, I just like this. It's got a pretty kind of happy sounding track. Nice vocal melody, especially like in the verse section, and just really pretty sounding guitar throughout. I found that in a lot of the songs, the guitar sounded really pretty.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely, I would call them a guitar band.
Yeah.
I would say so. Yeah, there's definitely like a lot of, atmospheric stuff to it. But I'm a guitarist, so I'm going to notice the guitar in any band anyway.
Right.
But it seems like everything is composed on guitar.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it seems like it was definitely. Just sounds like the result of someone just sort of jamming on the guitar.
And Between Days is one of the ones that I specifically liked out of this batch of songs.
Yeah, and also from that album, I like the song "Finding My Way Home." This one's kind of like builds up. It starts out soft with just like some nice acoustic guitar, and just sort of reverby vocals.
let them refill all the thoughts heavy.
You get like the bass comes in a little bit into the song, and then the drums come in, so they kind of like add the instruments layer by layer. And it sort of builds up to kind of like the climax at the end of the song, which it's like him just sort of like these distant sounding vocals, saying, the title of the song, "Finding My Way Home." It sounds really pretty. I don't know. It almost sounds like it's a group of people singing. Like it almost sounds like a communal singing of the chorus.
And that's just coming. You think that's coming from the backing vocals?
Since at this point there were other band members, I wouldn't be surprised if the other members were including vocals, but it might have just been editing after the fact.
Yeah.
I imagine like when they play it live, it'd probably be something that like the audience would probably sing along with.
Yeah.
That would sound pretty cool. Yeah, and then just a few more songs. In 2019, they released a song called Conversations, which has kind of like a little bit more synthy. It's got like a little bit more of like a pop beat to it, and kind of some like 80s sounding guitar, it sounded like to me. And just overall, just a really nice chill sound. And then in 2021. At this point, the other guys were no longer in the band, so this is just Joel Johnston doing solo music, but he released an album called Ways to Get Out, and I like the song Our Past Lives. This was a collaboration.
I was going to say, this is featuring someone I'm not familiar with. But
I'm not familiar with them either. I just learned of them from this song, but it's an artist. It's a female vocalist named Sophia Mohan, and her sort of moniker is Somo.
Makes sense.
Yeah, but her vocals sound really good in this track. And
How could this be real? Why should I reveal?
I felt. Have you ever listened to the band A Beacon School?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, you should check them out because they're really cool. But the vocals in this song kind of reminded me of them, especially like when he says the line "all of my lifetime." Like at the end, the drums come in and it repeats that line over and again. And just, I don't know. A Beacon School, his vocals are pretty like echoey and kind of atmospheric. And that's just how it kind of sounded to me. Oh yeah, and then the song House is one of my favorites from that album. I don't know if you got a chance to listen to that one, but
Yes, I listened to all these.
okay.
Yeah.
House has a really nice chord progression. It's like I don't know if time signature is the right word, but it's like it seems like it's like an 11/4
Yeah.
in the verses and then like goes to 4/4
It's
in
just the one I thought when I was counting, it was like, maybe I might be thinking of a different song here, but I thought it alternated between like 6/4 and then 4/4. So you would get a total of 10 counts.
Yeah, so actually maybe it's more like 3/4 in the chorus, but in the verse it's like it sounds like 3/4, but then in the last measure it's like the last beat is skipped.
Yeah.
So it's like 3, 6, 9, 10, 11. So it's like 11/4 in a
Okay.
way. If that's the way that it would be
Yeah.
transcribed, I don't know.
Right, yeah, how they divide it
It
up.
could just be 3 measures of 3/4 and then one
Yes.
measure of 2.
Depends on where the accent is and where you're feeling the pulse. And
Yeah.
again, another case for why I think most of this is guitar composed. 'Cause
Yeah. It's probably not actually transcribed in sheet music. It's
No,
just kind of
but-
you just kind of feel it.
Yeah, it's a field, but yeah, fun song.
I don't like much about
I like that. I like when I've said this on the podcast before. I like when artists mess around with time signature
Yeah,
and stuff like
absolutely.
that. So it's really fun. Oh, and this song has a saxophone solo at the end, which is really awesome. I feel like the last time you were on the podcast, we talked about saxophone
I think we did.
in bands.
Yeah.
So we get another awesome saxophone solo in this song. And then the last album, the most recent album, is The Last Remaining Light in 2023. I like the song Commuter Repeating. It just has a really intriguing melody. The vocals at certain points almost sound a little bit like polytonal in a way. Like it sounds kind of, off key, but it's obviously part of it's like an intentional melody. And it sounds really cool to me, I think.
Yeah.
happen. Things are made for ransom. It feels better when
Answer from that
This
album.
this is one I really liked.
Yeah, this one has really good chord progression, and yeah.
I like the kind of plunky in the background. I don't know what it was. It sounded kind of like a ukulele or something,
okay.
or like something that was just kind of like whatever was doing the. It happens right at the beginning of the song.
Yeah.
But it just was. It seemed like a bit of a diversion from everything else I'd heard.
Yeah.
Right. It seemed a bit more acoustic, influenced, and it just seemed a bit more. I don't know, sauntery.
Sauntery, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And the last couple songs, I don't have a whole lot to say. I just want to highlight them. Pet Architect has some really cool guitar. That's one that always stands out to me and I enjoy listening to. And then the song Pool has some really nice piano in it as well. Far Caspian is just a nice band to kind of chill to.
Yeah,
Really relaxing.
absolutely. Get some work done, do some homework or whatever you're, cleaning.
Yeah.
It's just, good house music. Mm-hmm. Music for around the house.
Yeah.
I want to be like your last girl. She's got the style, drive you all down.
My first artist I picked is Soccer Mommy. This is a project that I believe that the central member is the singer and songwriter Sophie Allison, I think is her name.
Okay. Is she actually a soccer mommy?
I don't think so because I think
That was
she
my
started,
main question.
I don't think so. I'm not sure where the name comes from.
Okay.
I like it, but I'm not. It somehow fits the aesthetic, and I'm not totally sure. She's definitely influenced from 90s culture, which I'll talk about a bit as we go on.
Yeah.
I always say her. I don't know if you know the filmmaker Nancy Meyers, but her music makes me sound like I'm watching a Nancy Meyers movie. Her most famous one was probably the Lindsay Lohan Parent Trap.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, I know that movie.
So she does these movies, and they do have a certain vibe, and Soccer Mommy's music kind of makes me feel like I'm in one of those movies.
I can see that.
Yeah. The first song I want to talk about, maybe the first two, because there's our Last Girl.
She's got everything you'll ever need. Why would you still want to?
And Outworn.
Oh yeah.
From her Audio Tree album, which, if you don't know Audio Tree, it's a lot of like indie bands go on there and do like a 5 or 6 song set to kind of showcase what they do. And this was before she had kind of broke through in 2019, I want to say.
Okay.
With her big album. But I like these two songs. They sound like kind of 90s, almost like twinkle pop songs, if I can come up with a
Twinkle Pop.
twinkle pop.
I've heard that one before.
I actually maybe using that genre because there's a genre now that's kind of shoegazy,
Yeah.
called twinkle pop, which is really fast and guitar tapping and stuff. This is not that,
Okay.
but it sounds kind of sparkly to me. I think it's the tone in the guitars, and there's a lot of like bitterness in these lyrics. In Last Girl and Outworn. Last Girl, she's kind of, I just want to be like your last girl.
Yeah.
She's so cool, and she's everything I'm not. And so there's this obviously inadequacy going on that's probably she's feeling a little bit bitter about, or at least insecure.
Yeah, I felt like lyrically, if not necessarily like musically, but lyrically, I felt like it had a very like punk feel.
Oh yeah.
Like just the lyrics sounded like very like punk
Yeah,
stuff.
you get the bitterness or anger or whatever is there that she's feeling.
Yeah.
It's
Kinda
dressed
like resentment.
Yes, resentment's a good word. It's just dressed up in this really sparkly sounding music.
Yeah.
And Outworn was my favorite, still might be my favorite song by her.
I like that one a lot.
Yeah, it's just really a really pretty chord progression, and the drums are groovy, and I like like the structure of the song. I like the pre-chorus, the ooh,
Yeah.
and then going into it. And again with the lyrics here, you remind me of my dad, million straws that broke my back,
Yeah, yep,
or something like that.
Jesus.
And there's this, it's like there's this guy who's always trying to upset her, or like trying to get the best of her, and
Yeah.
like
Remind me of my dad. Throw me straws that break my back. You know just
kind of done with this relationship,
Yeah.
or whatever is going on here. So
Yeah, I liked a lot of the songs on that album, the Audio Tree live kind of set. Something about audio, because I have listened to some Audio Tree sessions before, and it's like something about it just it almost sounds better than the studio version.
yeah,
Like even like especially with Outworn, there's like a little guitar lick.
Yeah.
Like at the beginning and kind of in the middle too. That's like it's not in the studio version, but it's like that's like do 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 do.
oh yeah.
That's like in
The one that it
the
ends
live
on,
version.
yeah.
Yeah, and it's like that just gives it something extra that makes I feel like the Audio Tree version better.
I think a lot of that is you can't depend on what's done in the studio, right? So you're trying to fill space
Yeah.
with what you have, and that's why I like the Audio Tree album so much, is because it sounds like a band.
Yeah.
They're a really good band.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually got to saw them live last year.
did?
Yeah, I did, at the Grand Rapids. It's called Listening Lawn. I'd never been there, nor had I heard of it before then. But it's kind of like an enclosed lawn in a hotel. I forget which hotel, but it's really cool. And I saw her live there, and again, great sounding band. I do, that whole Audio Tree album, one thing, it's funny you say that about how you think they sound better, because I think they pick the songs to flow so well in this lineup they have here, because it starts out with Try and Benadryl Dreams.
Yeah. I like both of those.
And they almost sound like the same song if you didn't have that pause there.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way. It's possible she like had like a lot of riffs, right? And then like put them all in one song, and then maybe decided like, well, these could be two different songs.
Yeah.
But I love those first two, and I love the name Benadryl Dreams. It just kind of fits the shoegazy aesthetic to me.
Yeah. That one has a really cool guitar melody in it.
Yeah.
It's almost, I keep wanting to say like dissonant, but it's not. It just kind of has like a unique sound.
Yeah,
to
it's
it.
it's poignant, right? There's something about it that's just kind of there for you to, not in your face, but not in your face, you know?
Yeah.
I can only think of you these days.
And then the album ends with Allison, which is just a really quiet ballad. I think it's about her, because her name is Sophie Allison.
Oh,
And
interesting.
I believe this is about her, and it's just, a really intimate, quiet song that they end the set with, and it's perfect. It's peaceful and just kind of a nice cloud left over from the set they played is how I like to imagine it. So.
Allison, I'll tell you something. You just wrote this track.
The other two songs that I wanted to talk about are off her, I think, 2019 album called Color Theory. And the first one I want to talk about is Yellow is the Color of Her Eyes, which is like 8 minutes long or something.
It is
like
a long
that.
one.
It's a long song.
It is good.
But she did play this when I saw her live. It was the
cool.
song, it was the last song they played before the encore. So it was like her faux closing song.
Yeah.
And I just love this thing. The opening chords, this is where you really start to hear the shoegaze influence, I think.
Okay.
Is these guitars drenched in reverb, and they're kind of, processed to kind of sound like far away. There's some sort of modulation reverb or something, like a shimmer or something at the beginning.
Okay.
But the chord progression is really it has that climbing thing at the beginning. And then when it goes into the verse where she starts singing, it's just kind of like a slow rocking sort of thing. It's kind of like, feels like you're in a rowboat or something.
Okay.
Just kind of like letting the waves bounce you around a little bit. And it's a song about her losing her mother,
really?
I believe. So yellow is the color of her eyes. I'm not sure what her mother was afflicted with, but the lyrics are just, I'm falling apart over a memory. I'm thinking of her from over the ocean. She's probably on tour while all this is going on. And then the tiny lie I told myself is making me hollow. I've been choking on truths that I couldn't swallow. And I can only assume that that's talking about, hoping that her mother's going to make a comeback, and she just can't keep lying to herself about it. And it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love this song. It's a perfect representation of the band, I think. The second song off that album that I really like is called Lucy. It may be worth noting here that because she's a 90s aficionado, I think she loves Sheryl Crow, mostly because they put out a cover of that I'm gonna soak up the sun.
Yeah, I listened to
that. So they have a cover of it. This song sounds like Sheryl Crow to me. Maybe it's in how I think they like put a chorus on the vocals or something. But I mean, great guitar riff at the beginning, and then just the vocal hook of the verse is really addicting to me.
Eyes and hair like a feather, black leather, and a charming smile.
It rocks, but it's also chill. So she always has great drummers in her band.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but they're kind of mixed to support the song, so it kind of works perfectly. Love this song, Lucy. And then the last song I want to talk about for Soccer Mommy is Shotgun, which is the album after that.
Her most recent one, right?
I think so. I think this one came out in 2022. So I'm inclined to say yes, but I want to say she's pretty prolific in putting stuff out.
Okay.
But yeah, the name of this album is Sometimes Forever. And this is one I don't have a lot to say about, other than that it has everything I already like about Soccer Mommy.
Yeah.
Like in this, yeah, it's in this song. Great. You can sing to this stuff like any day of the week, I swear. Okay. The melodies are so catchy, and she's a dynamite songwriter. I'm totally into it. I just noticed you added this song to the plate called Lose You by Bully.
So that's one of the songs that I wanted to, it's technically by another artist, I guess, but Soccer Mommy is.
But it's on I like it. It's in my like songs on Spotify also. So I just now saw it, and I'm like, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, when I kind of I just went to like the This Is Soccer Mommy playlist on Spotify and just checked out some of them, and this one stood out to me. Is one of the songs I really liked. It's more of it's from 2023. It looks like from Bully's album Lucky for You. And I think just my favorite part of the song is the chorus. It's just got a really, really catchy chorus and just sounds awesome. I didn't listen to anything else by Bully, but
that's okay.
Maybe in the future I'll check them out.
I believe so. Soccer Mommy is from Nashville, and according to Wikipedia, so is Bully. So I can only imagine these are. I can assume that these two artists are kind of, respecting where they came from and working together, and they put out a fun song.
Makes sense.
So
nice. I also wanted to spotlight another song from Color Theory. The song Bloodstream just has a really nice vocal melody. I was really impressed with how she can just swoop back and forth between like high notes and low notes, especially in this song. Like just like in the verse of the song, she just starts out in like high notes and then goes down to sort of a lower note and back and forth.
Yeah.
I don't know, just something really captivating about that sort of effect.
She's pretty nimble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heart changes, moving off the branches of park trees.
Yeah. Soccer Mommy. Pretty good band.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was a band. I thought it was just one person.
Yeah, central figure to the band. But yeah.
Well, for my next and last artist that I'm going to spotlight is Two Door Cinema Club, who's kind of a older artist, but still making music to this day. They are also from Ireland, from Bangor, Northern Ireland, and it's three guys: Alex Trimble, Sam Halliday, and Kevin Baird. They're sort of, I guess, their most famous. I mean, the only album that I was ever really familiar with up until this week was Tourist History from 2010. Most of their classics are from that album, like Undercover Martin. That was one of the first songs I ever heard by them. I almost feel like in this album they have somewhat of a ska sound.
Okay.
Like at least in that song, it's very upbeat. And I don't listen to a lot of ska, so that might not be the greatest comparison, but it's very fast-paced and really catchy chorus in that song.
You heard that last time, we're gonna find you sick in the car seat 'cause you're not up to going out on the main streets, completing your mission.
Definitely a hit.
Yeah. These guys are, they're just a great dance band, I think. There's all their... I always lump them together with like Walk the Moon.
Okay.
Because they were kind of in that alt radio.
Yeah, like alternative, yeah.
Yeah, like in the early 2010s.
Yeah.
And I had fun listening to these guys for sure around the house.
Yeah. Another really good song from that album is This Is the Life. Just another really pretty melody in the chorus and really catchy. I like the sort of descending guitar lick. That's the sort of guitar lick in that song. I really like it.
'Cause if this is the life, 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 then you are you.
Yeah, just really happy sounding song. And then Something Good Can Work, another song from that album. This one has like in the chorus really like fast-paced vocals that I think sound really interesting. I don't even know what the lyrics are. I should have looked them up, but like just the way that he says the lyrics in the chorus is like,
Yeah.
like really fast-paced.
It's like it's the end of the world as we know it.
Yeah.
Let's make this happen, go. We're gonna show the world that something good can work and it can work for you. And you know that it will. Let's get this started, go.
I like that song. Apparently it was used by some government after like the COVID lockdown. They released like a government propaganda thing about like continuing to be safe and stuff, and apparently they used that song in the sort of advertisement. That's just an interesting fact that I found out.
Oh, wow.
Like I said, I didn't even realize that they were still making music until I checked them out this week, and I'm glad that I did because they have some really good songs out after that album. In 2019, so I'm skipping a little bit, they do have some really good albums between 2010 and 2019, but I just wanted to highlight a few. So in 2019 they released an album called False Alarm, and I like the song Talk. It's got their sound kind of evolved over time to a little bit more dance, a little bit more disco-y.
Yeah.
in their later albums. So this one definitely has more of a disco-y sound. I like a lot of the melodies in the vocals. Like I like the "Tell me what you're doing." I like that line.
Sounds the same to me. Tell me what you're doing. I shut tight, keeping out the light. Means I disagree.
And there's some really nice melodies in the chorus too. I enjoy.
I want it all. Don't stop giving. I like the way you talk. Don't hit the wall.
I like the song "So Many People." This one has some nice synth in it. Opens with a nice synth line, and that synth kind of returns in the chorus. But yeah, in the verse section, there's just some really funky drums and funky sounding guitar. Just really danceable, enjoyable.
Yeah.
Keep my distance. Go a different speed. Another page.
I like the song "Think," which is it's like a really slow, kind of groovy track.
Yeah.
And this one has these really like surreal sounding vocals. They're like pitched up, like high pitched kind of vocals in it that just give it a really unique sound.
I give my time with you and I believe that's enough. Enough is enough.
And this has some nice synth bass in this song. It's, there's like an instrumental section at the end of the song that really highlights the synth bass in it. And then I think my favorite song on that album, and maybe my favorite song by the artist at this point, is "Already Gone." This one just
Really,
me,
by the artist.
I think so. I keep returning to this song over and over again, so
Okay.
it might just be a phase, but this song reminded me of Pond. Did you ever listen to Pond?
Yeah.
much?
You
mentioned them
You
in the
mentioned
last
it. I
episode.
think because you guys have talked about them on this
Yeah.
podcast before, but I think you talked about them before I came.
Yeah,
So yeah.
we talked about Pond, and then when you were on before, we talked about Gum, who's a solo project by one of the members. But yeah, just this song to me just sounded just like Pond. I don't know why. The chorus is really beautiful and has like some falsetto vocals. I love the melody.
Thinking it's a damn shame to let it go.
Already gone. I want to feel.
One interesting thing about this song is that it ends just really abruptly. Like it's the last song on the album, and it just ends like in the middle of a lyric.
Yeah.
And I thought that was like something wrong with Spotify.
So
or
I
something.
did too, because I was like, oh well, maybe that just goes into another song.
Right,
Or,
but it's the last song on the album.
that's bizarre.
Yeah,
Maybe they were doing a Pink Floyd thing where like the beginning of
It
the
goes-
first song is the end of the last song. Or
Yeah,
something like that.
There's some theories. Like I looked it up online, and there's some theories as to why it ends like that. One kind of amusing theory is like maybe it's just a play on the title of the song. Like you're really enjoying the song and getting into it, and then just it's already gone. That's the title of the song. So, but yeah,
So meta.
right. And then in 2022, they released an album called "Keep On Smiling," which also just has a more sort of disco-y dance kind of sound to it.
Is this the one with Little Piggy on it?
Yes.
Okay, I like that song.
Yeah,
this
it's a good
album
one.
seems super fun. I'm surprised you
Yeah.
didn't add more from this album.
I probably could have talked about every song, but it's going to take so long to edit this podcast.
Yes.
So I wanted to keep it to sort of highlights.
I
Little
think-
Piggy is definitely a good one. It's got a really cool synth bass.
Yeah.
And I'd like to know if your mind is made up, changing something about the rules.
This one seemed like a lot of fun, so I'm
really
gonna listen
funky.
to this album a lot more later.
Yeah.
But Little Piggy was a standout to me for whatever reason. It just
Yeah.
seemed the most like, kind of like when it came on out of all these, it, perked my ear up, and I was like, oh, what's this one?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good one. After the second chorus, so like towards the end of the song, there's this really cool like stuttering guitar lick that plays. But yeah, one of the first songs that stood out to me on that album was Blue Light, which is, just kind of highlights the sort of disco-y sound and has a really nice chord progression in the chorus. For a while, actually, that was the only song that I listened to on this album until this week when I was preparing for this episode. Then I listened to the rest of the songs on the album and came across some really good ones like Little Piggy. High is another really good one from that album.
Yep.
This one just really has a beautiful chord progression throughout, in the chorus especially, and like it has like a pre-chorus too section that has a really, really nice chord progression, and yeah, just some really nice guitar in this one.
If it's not me when I decide to leave.
And the last song I like from that album is Feeling Strange, which is just really upbeat, nice vocals, the verse, and has some cool harmony in the chorus that I like. And after the first chorus, these like really sweet, like booming drums come in, and
Guilty pleasure makes a bad day better. Colors start to bleed. Sad sack, silver
yeah, check out more stuff by Two Doors Cinema Club. They've released a couple singles, and something interesting I read on Wikipedia is that they don't plan on releasing any more albums. They're just kind of doing singles. I guess they feel like the album format is outdated, so they're just
A
like,
lot of people
let's just
do.
singles now. So
I'm amazed, but you know, at some point, I think a band has enough of a catalog to work with.
yeah,
You know, it's like, and I think a single, especially these days, is just enough to hold people's attention span.
yeah, I think so.
And if that's a model that works, then I am all for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I do like albums, and I'm always look forward to an album. I like the sort of thing that artists are doing now, where they'll like release singles, like leading up to an album,
Yeah.
to kind of like appetize you for that album, and then they'll release the full album.
Yep.
That's kind of what I thought they were doing with Two Door Cinema Club, but I guess they're just doing singles.
Yeah. My second artist is a band called Wavves with two V's.
Two V's.
And they're based out of California. Don't know any of the names of these members. I think they've had like 18 different drummers though.
Oh, really?
So
Wow.
I'm embellishing, but yeah, I think they go through drummers
Okay.
quite a bit. I think they're still making music. I thought their last album, their most recent one, was like 2021.
I think so. Yeah.
Something like that. California band. I guess their contemporaries would be considered like, I don't know if you ever heard of Fiddler or the OCs. These kind of like fast punk but alternative bands, and they
Yeah.
just play really hard and crazy, and yeah, just a bunch of stoners, I think, who hang out at the beach and make music. So
Yeah, I was so happy that you introduced me to this band, because they are so cool. I like so many songs by them.
that's awesome. I tried to give. They have they switch vibes a little bit, because they go from like really fast songs, and then there are some that are just like a chill groove, and then some that are just like really just unmistakably pretty.
Yeah.
I think the first song I'm going to talk about is 9 is God,
Oh yeah.
which there are a couple songs on here from the Grand Theft Auto 5 soundtrack. that was how I got introduced to them. Was Nine is God. They performed this song on Conan to promote the game when it was coming out, and that was the first time I saw them. And you can tell they're kind of nervous, and I think the singer is probably they're kind of close because they're on a TV show.
Yeah, fair.
So I can't. But somehow that song stuck with me, even though I could tell they were a little bit nervous. And I checked them out, and that just became like 2010's Need to Know for me.
Yeah,
that song.
I love that song.
Oh yeah, really cool. And just, if you've played the game, it has to do with the ending, I suppose. But Nine is God is basically, 9 is, I believe, representing a 9mm. Gun. So you have to make a choice at the end of the game, and so I think the lyrics are kind of open to interpretation. It's kind of cool. Another song from, I don't remember it being on any of the radio stations in the game, but it's called Leave. This is a chill, like, groove kind of song. This is one that's just, I could walk down the street with my sunglasses on and kind of, it'd be playing in my head. And,
nice.
Not totally sure what it's about. It sounds kind of like someone's being stuck, maybe. If I could leave, I would, or I want to, but all this could be talking about, the city of Los Angeles, or just wherever you may find yourself. I don't know. Open to interpretation, I think. But it's a cool song.
I would leave. If I could, I would. I would leave. If I could, I would.
That's also from the game?
It says, according to the album art, it says music from Los Santos, which is the city based off Los Angeles that is in Grand Theft Auto 5.
Okay.
So the next song I want to talk about is King of the Beach.
King of the Beach, down it.
Which I think might be the ultimate Wavves song, just because it kind of, what it's talking about is that going to the beach, let the sun burn your eyes, burn your back. Just running around, disking or playing volleyball or whatever. It just sounds like going to the beach and kind of having a couple beers and just running like crazy. It sounds fun.
Yeah.
And that's also the name of the album.
Yep.
Which I think came out in 2010. And that was kind of like their seminal album, and maybe their best. There's so many good songs off that thing. Also off that album is Green Eyes, and this is a really pretty song, I think. It's kind of sweet.
That was my favorite one from the album.
Yeah. Just really, it starts out super pretty, and then I think the chorus, it just kind of like, boom, drops on you.
Yeah.
Hey, my God. So
and then it's like, oh, we're here now. And then it goes back to the and it's like, oh, everything's okay again, and everything's like moving along, and it's back to the pretty melody. And the way the lyrics are structured makes it super singable and hummable, and great song here.
green eyes, 'cause I'm a fool. I try.
The next song I want to talk about is Sinking Feeling.
That's from their new one, right?
I think this is, from their newest one. And I like the guitar on it. It sounds like that surf maybe like I don't know if you know that guitar band, The Shadows. It's that really kind of reverb sound from the 50s and 60s.
Okay.
The Shadows had that Apache song that they did that was like dun 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 dun, and it's done on a guitar, and it's just got that almost sounds Western but kind of surfy.
Okay.
That guitar tone. I love this Sinking Feeling song. It's again chill, and I think shows their range a little bit in their, or at least their, roots in California sounding music. is the next song I want to talk about, and that's just fun. I don't know what this could be about. It could be about, you know, partying too much or just, you know, being stressed.
Yeah.
Have not honestly looked at the lyrics. I just like the and the how fast it is, and
I'm saying stupid things. I bet she doesn't know my name.
my head hurts without you. It's worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, the lyrics are fun.
For some reason, the first time I heard this song, some wire must have gotten crossed because I thought he was saying "with you it's worse," like he's talking to somebody that like really gets on his nerves or something.
Well, just come out and say it then, dude.
Yeah.
My head hurts, and without you it's worse.
I think that's all I have. You added like 6
Dude.
more songs from Wavves that
Yeah.
I have not even heard.
Oh,
I think
man.
I've heard "Sail to the Sun," and I
Sail
like
to the
that
Sun.
one.
That is such a good. That was possibly one of the first songs, aside from the ones that you recommended. That was one of the first ones that I heard. And yeah, it's amazing. It's really highlights that sort of punk sound that
Yes.
they have, the fast-paced, upbeat. Yeah, this has a great melody in the verse section too.
I wanna pick you up in my arms, give you all my love, soon enough it flies by.
Yeah, I feel like I don't listen to enough punk music, even though I really enjoy bands that have like punk influences. But like just listening to this band was like just felt so like pure, like pure punk to me. And
Yeah.
I just loved listening to it. And
I'm glad you said that, because that's how I view those bands like Fiddler and the OCs
Okay.
and this band. It was kind of like a small scene in the early 2010s, I think, where I kind of, you know, talking out my rear end here because I didn't grow up in California,
Okay.
nor was I around at the scene. But I think a lot of people associate these bands with that sound. That like that's the closest thing to punk. That you know, it's kind of alternative, but it's punk.
yeah. My favorite album, or at least the album that most tracks stood out to me, was the album "You're Welcome" from 2017. I like the song "Million Enemies." This just has a really cool chorus and just really nice harsh vocals, and yeah, it's just fun to jam to. And I like it. And "Stupid in Love" is another good song. That has in the chorus like this really neat vocal melody where he's like kind of ascending in notes, like
Yeah.
it like gets like harsher and harsher like
Yeah.
the higher he goes, and I like that. It almost sounds like kind of like how we were talking earlier about like the sort of resentful sort of like lyrics and stuff, and I
Yeah.
think the lyrics to this are I'd have to go back and check the lyrics. I don't pay that much attention to lyrics, but the way his voice sounds, it almost sounds a little bit, has like that sort of resentful kind
Yeah.
of like anger in the way he's delivering the vocals.
I can definitely hear that in this band overall.
Yeah.
I think, but that's awesome.
Yep. And then I like the song "Animal." This one has like a really sweet bass line and the guitar riff in the verse section. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just like a pretty unique sounding bass line in it. I'll just have to play it in the podcast to show the example. Yeah, and then I would say my number one favorite song by this artist, the one that I just keep listening to over and over again, is "Hollowed Out." Just my favorite part of the song is the chorus, where it's like got this really like deep, almost like growling synth bass in it, and it kind of alternates between like, you know, the just sort of like simple like clean vocals and just kind of like a soft part and then just abruptly into like the hard, bass, and I don't know, it just like goes back and forth between the two like sort of sections, and I just love it.
I feel you standing there, gazing into the sunshine.
Yeah, I keep listening to this song. This like all week I was just kept returning to that song, so it's definitely my favorite. And then the last one that I want to share is from the new album, but it was also released as a single. Help Is On The Way. This one just has a really pretty chord progression in it, and I think, like you said, how some of their songs just kind of sound pretty. Like this, I think, is one of those that just has a really pretty sound to it. So. Yeah, thanks for recommending Wavves. Really good. Did you have any bonus?
I did,
songs?
actually.
Okay.
First one I'll talk about is a song called Archie Marry Me by this band called Wavves.
Oh, I've heard of Wavves.
Yes,
Yeah.
another another band with two V's
Yep.
in the name. Great band. If you're going to listen to an album, I would listen to Anti-Socialites,
Okay.
which is, I think it was released in 2017. I think that's the best cohesive album they have, but Archie Marry Me is such a gorgeous song, and great guitar work, and everything serves the song, just sounds happy. And it's just this girl wanting to get married with this guy,
Okay.
saying, forget all the formalities and let's just sign some papers and get married. She just wants this to be with this guy.
Nice.
Doesn't really care about anything, and he's kind of, on the fence about it.
Okay.
It's a little bit tragic, but
Aw.
yeah. It's a good song. Check out Wavves.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other song I wanted to talk about it's called Kid Goku. Let me look up the artist real quick. It's by this artist called Mitro.
Okay.
Maitro. This is just kind of like an instrumental hip hop feel, just with some like horns in it. But it sounds like something that would be in a Dragon Ball Z game that I used to play when I was little.
Okay.
It's just kind of a cool wah-driven guitar lick with some chill drums, but then the horns come in to kind of echo the riff. And it's just happy sounding. I listen to both of these songs. I usually listen to while I'm swimming or riding, about to jump in the pool. Kid Goku is usually like my get psyched before I get in the pool, even though it's not like an adrenaline filled song. It's just like I'm happy to start swimming, so I start listening to happy music, and this is a good song.
I had a couple bonus tracks that I want to highlight. Two of them are from the same artist, an artist called Citizens, who's a Christian band. I like a lot of songs by them, but two that I just wanted to highlight. The song Take Heart from 2019, their album Fear. It's just like a fast-paced, the verse section is kind of fast-paced and I don't know if I would say punk necessarily, but just kind of a fast-paced rock sound. And then in the chorus, it like quiets down and has some nice synth in the background and some nice guitar. Yeah, and just because they're a Christian band, I really like their lyrics. This song is based on the passage in John 16 verse 33, which is about Jesus saying to his disciples, I'm sending you out as sheep among wolves, and you're going to be persecuted and everything, but take heart because I've overcome the world. So there's like some lyrics, some lines that I really like the line, they're going to say that you lost your mind to some archaic way. Just, I like the way that sounds. And
They're gonna say that you lost your mind to some archaic way. Out in the deep of the woods.
just a poetic kind of line. The outro of the song is really pretty because it just kind of, it gets really quiet and just has like some really pretty piano, and the vocalist just basically reciting the verse. You know, I have said all these things, that in me you'd have peace, in this world you'll have trouble, take heart. And that's just how the song kind of ends, and it's just really pretty sounding. But I also like the song All Right, which was also released in 2019. Also has some really good lyrics, really like kind of emotional sounding lyrics, because he's talking about, you know, not being all right, you know, like going through struggles and just like feeling like you're just kind of out of place and everything, and just feeling like you're not right, like you're not all right. And I like the guitar lick after the chorus. Just kind of has like a really pretty, I don't know, like maybe 80s guitar kind of sound. It's kind of echoey and really cool. And then just the last one I want to highlight is by a band called Bag Raiders, who is also kind of a disco-y sounding kind of band. I like a lot of their songs, but the one that I tend to return to the most is called Beat Me to the Punch. Just really funky, extremely like funky beat. And yeah, just both the verse section and the chorus are really, really cool. Just this type of song that you can just really dance to and really groove to, so I enjoy that a lot. All right, well, that wraps it up for this week. Thanks a lot, Ben, for joining me on the podcast.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, always a pleasure. And you have mentioned making music in the past. Do you have any way, like, if people wanted to check out, like, do you release any music or post videos or anything?
Sure. Anything fully realized is always a work in progress.
Yeah.
Transient right now, kind of in the middle of moving, but I do have an Instagram where I post quick things and quick covers. I will be putting some covers on YouTube soon.
Oh, nice.
And so I will be linking to that in my on my TikTok probably.
Okay.
So my TikTok is pretty straightforward. It's at ben.arce8. The name may be subject to change at some point, but that is my TikTok currently.
Cool.
And my Insta is benarce1.
Okay.
So BENARCE1 on Instagram. So feel free to check me out. Stay tuned for covers, and when I get around to finally mixing some recordings that I have done, they will be released, and I will update people on where they can access all that stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, well, thanks again, and everybody have a good week. Check the description for not only Ben's music, but also the Spotify playlist of every song we spotlighted in this episode. And yeah, stay tuned for next week's episode. Bye.
Bye.